Good morning, everyone. And Dave here. I'm gonna read a verse, then I'm gonna talk about something important, then we're gonna do the Jade Helm Part 2 commentary with commentary. It comes from 1 John 4:1. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. I got a lot of emails yesterday after the video, the interview I did yesterday, telling me to be leery of the guy, asking what I think of the guy. Well, anybody who does an interview on my show, just because they do an interview, don't mean they know me, don't mean I'm vouching for them, and don't mean you don't need to take caution when interacting with these people. Okay. I give everybody a chance to come on and tell their testimony, tell their side of the story, get their testimony out. Also, but that don't mean I vouch for them, and that don't mean I'm telling you it's okay to go interact with them, be best friends with them. Am I saying that the dude yesterday was a perp? No, not at all. Because I don't know him good enough. I don't know him good enough to say he was a perp or not. When he said he was an actor and sociopath, I know that set some people off. But I cannot honestly tell you whether or not he's a perp or not. So you're going to have to test the spirits yourself. However, to keep this from happening again, I promised a couple of my viewers that's been watching me for a long time, as I promised them that I'm going to come up with a better vetting process. So the people who email me regularly and stuff, I'm asking you to do me a favor. Help me figure out a way to vet people when they ask for an interview. They can give a short spiel all they want. There's slick people in this community that could sell you your own clothes, so to speak. But the last thing I want is to interview somebody, and then they're all in the comments, and then all of a sudden they do one of my viewers wrong, because that's why I don't talk about these organizations or nothing like that I've heard bad things about, because I don't know if it's true or not. And if I introduce y'all to them, and then that's like me vouching for them, and then that's me participating in them doing you wrong if they do y'all wrong. So I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to vet people. After yesterday, and I thought I had kind of felt people out, but I want to vet people better. But even if you vet people better, there's no way to know 100% from a few interactions whether somebody's a perp. Now, a lot of times you can, but there's slick people out there. So anyway, I take full responsibility. I'm not saying this guy is a perp or anything, because I don't know. I haven't had enough interactions with him, but I take full responsibility in the fact that I need to be better about vetting people, instead of just being able to email me and say, hey, I want to get on the show and give me a short spiel. So anybody, I need some, I'm too busy to even think right now with responsibility. So any of my viewers who email me regularly, or even if you don't email me regularly, if you've got an idea of how to vet these TIs that want to interview, let me know. In the meantime, if you're interested in interviewing, just send me a short. What I'm going to do is send me a short excerpt about yourself, and why you're targeted, how long you've been targeted, what your experience is targeting, and we'll go from there. I do have a couple emails to get to today I didn't get to yesterday, and like I said, you got to think, if it's just me and Holly and we have all these TIs messaging us, we're one entity. Me and her just one group of two people, and we can only do so much, but we will get to you. I promise you that. So, all right, let's start Jade. Let's start this Jade program. I'm starting at a important part we left off at, and I backed it up some. I really feel like this is an important series, so we'll go about it. I'm going to go about another. There may be a part 3, and I'm sure there will be. So we'll go about 45 minutes, 50 minutes here, and it's a 2 hour and 28-minute video, but I'm sure that there's stuff in there that at the end that's talking about something else. I can't quite remember if there was or not. Anyway, I'm stop rambling. Thank y'all for listening. But yeah, even if they've been vetted, you always need to be leery of people who come on here and interview. I do not vouch for nobody at all. I'm not saying, kick it with them, trust them, none of that. So, because the facts is anybody can make up any story, and I'm not saying anybody is making up any story. That's for the audience to figure out. It's for y'all to figure out, and me to do a better job at figuring out. So, okay, here we go.
How far we've fallen. So, anyway, to sum that part of it up, I think the hyper concern over this exercise is genuine, but I think it's also intentional.
Yeah.
The fear and the anxiety and the uncertainty and the secrecy, like you mentioned, of the exercise is being expressed over the internet, through social media and communications networks, and this data is being collected. It's all being harvested.
I'm pretty sure we're on a list somewhere.
I'm going to stop that right there real quick. So, what was going on in Jade Helm days back in 2015? I got an interesting story to tell y'all. This man was convinced off of a video he watched. So, a lot of these videos feed off your fear. However, the Jade Helm system is real, but I just want to give an example of some of these channels that feed off fear. I was homeless, and this dude I was in Minnesota, and this guy just pulled up and was like, "Hey, I see your aurora." I'm like, "My what?" I mean, I didn't know nothing in 2015. I've gained so much knowledge, but so anyway, he's like, "Yeah, you have a awesome aurora, and I want to help you out. What's going on with you?" So I was like, "Well, I just need a shower and a place to stay for the night to catch up and get some rest." And he's like, "All right." He said, "You could come stay with me for the night, and I'll bring you right back downtown." I said, "No funny stuff, none of that, right?" And he's like, "Look, I promise you." And I was really, really in a bad spot. I had walked out. I'd left my wife because of the perp stuff going on, and just left it all behind. But so we get to his house, and he's like, "Well, help yourself to something to eat." I opened the refrigerator. Ain't nothing but blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, all fruits, and he had some cheese in there. But he's like, "Help yourself to anything like that. That's all I eat is fruits. I really don't eat meat or nothing like that." And he's like, "Also, if you want to take a shower, I got a non-fluoride shower." And he's like, "I got a brand new toothbrush and non-fluoride toothpaste." And he's like, I'm trying to rush this little situation right here that I'm talking about. But anyway, so he goes to drop me off. I thank him. I stay the night there. The next morning, I got one stop to make before I drop you off. I'm like, so I was like, "Well, okay, that's fine." I don't have nothing to do. I'm trying to figure stuff out on my phone, navigate homelessness and all this, and I don't even want to get into what was going on at the time, but needless to say, I fell on some hard times, and because I basically left it all and just accepted homelessness rather than be around a perp trying to set me up 24/7, if you know what I mean. But so what killed me about this dude is he said, have you ever watched Dabu 7? And Dabu 7, if you've ever watched him, there is a fake Dabu 7 channel, but I've been watching him since then. He's like, well, Dabu 7 told me that, and he's a YouTuber, but anyway, he said that September 25th, the banks are going to crash and everybody's that don't have cash is screwed, so I'm going to take all my money out of the bank. So he comes to the car with all his money in the bank, out the bank, in a bag, and before he drops me off, and he's like, and then he hands me this, he said, I want to give you something before you go. He handed me a water bottle that filtered itself. He handed me a crank thing that charges your phone. So he was all set. He was serious about this video. Well, September 25th, and I called my mom and was like, hey, if you have any money in the bank, take it out. I just saw this dude that works at this library, and because that's where he worked, was a library. But anyway, public library, and this dude just took all his money out of his bank. He watched these videos. He don't eat nothing but fruits. This stuff amazed me. I wasn't used to it. Didn't know nothing about it. So so he dropped me off. I had a backpack, I had a water bottle, I had a crank, and I'm like, why is he giving me this stuff? And I was so wet behind the ears back then that, I knew what the stuff was for, but I knew that I saw him getting ready and prepared, and I called my mom, told her to get all the money out of the bank. Something was going to happen September 25th. I had inside information and all this, and that was in 2015, and nothing happened. I often wonder where that guy was, where that guy is today. He was a good dude, really helped me out in a bad time. But yeah, he was serious about it. So that goes to show how some of these videos are people either spread it for, it's called fear porn. They spread these videos that they either think is real in their mind, but it's not, or they are trying to get views and all that. Me, I don't worry about views right now, besides views from people who are actually trying to learn, who are actually trying open-minded and trying to learn something. Other than that, I found trying to get views and worrying about views on YouTube is nothing. The views will take care of themselves as long as you're posting good content. And I don't like calling it content. I hate that word content. As long as you're being genuine and posting videos that you posting content from your heart, I guess. All right, let's go. I'm rambling, but I thought that was a neat story because the dude really thought, and I always wondered what happened after that. Did he take his money back? Did he keep it out, or what?
Probably.
Yeah. It's
What
funny.
do you think?
It's funny how they manipulate to their own ends. Any kind of, this is really academic when you analyze it just a little closer than layman's level. And that makes perfect sense. How will they react to what we do? How can we use that to our advantage? Well, if it won't work, how can we make a little enhancement there so that it will work to our advantage? They got nothing to do all day except sit around and think about these things. They're brilliant people, evil geniuses in some ways. And they have nothing to do except examine all these possibilities. And they have computers to assist them and limitless amounts of taxpayer dollars to play with. I'm sure it's a happy hunting ground for that kind of research.
Mm-hmm. Have you been following any of the explanations regarding this exercise by these spokesmen from SOCOM?
Not really.
No?
No. Because I know they're not going to tell us the truth no matter what, so, why bother?
No, they're not. But, if you just look at how absurd they are. First, the fact that they're conducting what's supposed to be a realistic military training exercise with only 12 to 1,600 Special Forces troops over an area that encompasses about 25% of the landmass of America is crazy.
Yeah, I figured they were lying about that.
Yeah. So either that's not what they're doing because they don't have enough troops, or they're going to be employing a lot more troops than 1,600, and they're just not telling us. That's one possibility.
Or the third, or the other possibility, which is that About 1,200 troops is all we need when we roll out this monstrous technological marvel of ours, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, the second brilliant explanation that came out of the mouths of one of those guys speaking down in Texas said that the Southwest was chosen because of because the physical terrain is very similar to the Middle East. So then, why have they brought in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Florida into the exercise?
Because of the barbecue and the fish, I guess.
I guess, yeah. And I guess the oasis is out in the desert. And this last one is pretty funny too. It was stated that these training exercises are necessary to better prepare our troops for unconventional warfare overseas. Now, first of all, Jade Helm is not a new concept. Okay, it was used in Iraq and Afghanistan.
And for all the new people, I'm sorry. For anybody new that might be watching that don't know what's going on, I advise you to watch part 1 to Jade Helm. Jade 2 is a quantum data collecting software, collecting the data of every individual on Earth, but it's also a next generation warfare supercomputer. And you'll learn more. Listen to the first part, and then come over and listen. This is what I advise, because you'll be lost if not.
In 2012 and 2013, I read the unclassified or declassified mission reports after the Jade Helm operation was executed over there, and it was touted as a huge success. Okay, it's my understanding when the military successfully performs an operation, as they did with Jade Helm in 2012, okay, it becomes a warfare policy or doctrine or strategy. So why the need to train for it again on American soil among American people? Okay, the line of bullocks that we're being fed coming out of the public relations spokesman for this exercise, that we have to better prepare our troops to blend in with the indigenous people in foreign countries, is absurd.
Yeah, after we've been over in foreign countries for 12 years, specifically the Middle East. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and not only that, but how is training U.S. troops to blend in among U.S. citizens that look like them, talk like them, have the same cultural memes as they do, going to help them to better blend in overseas with people who don't look like them, don't speak the language, or have the same cultural memes? I mean, they must really think we're idiots.
Well, I was driving in traffic today. I think they may be right, because a thunderstorm came up and people were panicking over 6 inches of running water across the street, just, afraid they were going to be swept away. So, I don't know. They may have something there. I'm embarrassed to say they may think of us as idiots, because we very well may be idiots. I would submit to you that we are. We probably wouldn't find ourselves in the position that we're in now. But anyway.
Yes, that's very true.
I digress slightly, sorry.
No, that's a very important point I think you just made. So, anyway, going back to this Jade 2 software in conjunction with the Jade Helm 15 exercise, what do I think is going on? I think this thing is, among other things that it could be, is a giant psyop. Okay, and that's not to rule out the possibility of this whole exercise at some point going live.
And she's not talking about the technology being a psyop, or the supercomputer being a psyop. What she's talking about a psyop is in 2015, there was YouTube videos everywhere of these military trucks, Walmart shutting down, and they were saying that they were going to practice martial law. They were going to shut these down. People were going to be put into detainment centers through Walmart. You're going to go to re-education camps, FEMA camps. When really, and then I even believed this, back then, before I actually experienced Jade system myself in Springfield, Missouri. But so I'm watching all this on YouTube and like, wow, they closing Walmarts down. Then I end up at this Walmart, and creepy stuff happened in Springfield, Missouri. But and I'm gonna try to think of that story before I end up. And that's another thing I want to tell y'all real quick. You notice that I only tell stories from certain times and certain dates. When you go through trauma will make you block stuff out. So stuff's coming back to me as I do interviews and as I talk about Jade Helm. You know, you got to pull certain parts out of your mind when you've experienced trauma. So, you know, there may be 1 or 2 years, 3 years, 4 years that are blocked for me. And there, matter of fact, there is. But I'm trying my best to pull it out. So if you hear me just talk about specific instances, it's because I've been through some severely traumatic events, and it's really blocked me. But I am getting better, and I am pulling stuff out little by little. But what she's talking about is, all right. So they had Walmart's closing. Come to find out, all of them Walmart's closed because of a plumbing problem. Um, It had nothing to do with closing to be a detainment center or nothing like that, which I believed wholeheartedly. Then I also believed that they were going to go door to door, taking people in and processing them through Walmart. So that's what, and then the whole the military on patrol with these trucks and tanks and stuff. All that was a psyop, and it threw people off the real purpose of Jade Helm, which was to map people's minds and see if they could handle dissidents and other people, because it was mainly tested out on. It was, well, from my knowledge and what I was seeing done personally, it was mainly tested out on homeless people and dissidents that time, and they were seeing if they could control people in a martial law setting. But she can explain it more, and I am going to continue doing commentary. But when she said the whole Jade thing was a psyop, that's what she's talking about.
It's creating through hype and hysteria and secrecy and anxiety. It's creating a range of emotional responses on the civilian side, as well as a force management planning response on the military side. You know, because as we've said over and over again, you know, they're collecting data, all data, not some data, all data on everything. Okay, the Jade Helm program, in my humble opinion, okay, is what we're seeing is a system rollout. Jade 2's been tested in limited areas in the past. And if I recall the papers, one of the papers I read indicated it was tested in Haiti during the earthquake. And I don't have, you know, that paper in front of me right now, but I think it was also used during Hurricane Katrina or Hurricane Sandy. And, you know, I think this exercise is, like I said before, among other horrific possible intentions, it's a system rollout. Okay, they're going to be running it through its paces, see how well it performs over a large geographic area with a dynamic human terrain. I mean, they're causing fear. Okay, and if something goes sideways with this exercises, if people die or there's an extensive loss or damage to private property, they're going to offer up some soldier and some commanding officer for the chopping block, and we're never going to hear anything about any of these casualty losses were due to a programming error or a problem with its thinking and execution function.
That's good thinking, DJ. Yep.
They're going to come. They got their tracks covered already. I mean, this thing's been planned. I think they think they have their ducks all in a line. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember how we mentioned earlier, we briefly touched on the Global Information Grid?
Yes.
Or the GIG? Okay. Jade doesn't bode well for the people in what we know of it right now. But Jade 2 is part of a much larger command and control system that goes beyond military applications. It's called GEOINT. Let me spell that. It's capital GEO, capital I, capital N, capital T. It's the Geospatial Intelligence Network.
Okay.
It's everything Jade 2 and more. It's global in scope, and everything regarding communications, the internet, social media platforms, just about everything now. If something has the word smart in front of it, smart grid, um, smart meters, smart
Phone,
appliances, yeah, smartphone,
smart
right?
TV, smart
Yes,
whatever.
they're all plugged into that grid. All of these things.
Mhm.
So, what role then does GeoIN, or the Geospatial Intelligence Network, play in a bigger picture? And what I've been able to find is that GeoIN is a tool for the proponents of global government in order for them to cast a neural net over humanity. How are they going to do that? I mean, humanity is 7 billion people. So how do you control 7 billion people?
I'm going to take a stab at it by having them inhale nanoparticles of metal to get them all turned into little antennas and then broadcast to them.
That's one possibility. But if you can control the environment they live in, you can control them.
Yep.
What GeoIN is, it's a
I'm going to take a step.
All right. Now listen. Important part right here. Now, how can the Jade system, how can they hook everybody up to the system and control 7 billion people? You heard the first theory he just said, right? Which is something I just did this morning. When I first woke up, I took garlic. Why did I take garlic? I took garlic, and I'm trying to keep metals out of my system. Well, I'll talk about that later. But anyway, so this is a very important part right here to hear these people talking, because then she's going to go in and say a way to connect everybody and map out everybody's brains without RFID, because they know people's not going to take no RFID. And so they found a system, a way without touching you or anything, that they can map your brain out and connect you to this thing. So here we go.
Stab at it by having them inhale nanoparticles of metal to get them all turned into little antennas and then broadcast to them.
That's one possibility. But if you can control the environment they live in, you can control them.
Yep.
What GeoIN is, it's a complete, all-encompassing command and control system. This program or technology has found a way to circumvent humanity's resistance to RFID or microchipping the global population. Remember the uproar about that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, mark of the beast, and don't take it, and don't take it. You won't be able to trade or anything. If you don't have this chip, you won't, you know, the world as you know it will end if you don't take this chip. Well, this particular geospatial intelligence technology surpasses RFID, as RFID is a transmitter receiver, and it can be disabled or removed. When people are used as physical geolocated nodes on a network in a human terrain system, how do you remove that? Okay, nodes, let me try and explain it this way, John. Nodes can be removed on a network. For example, I'm sitting here in my office, and my printer over there is a node on my network. Now I can go over and I can unplug that Ethernet cable. Now my computer system, if I look at my network map, that printer doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. I can't communicate with it. It can't communicate with me. I can't maintenance it. Nothing. It's not there. But I'm looking at it. It's sitting right there on my desk, but it's not recognized by the network. So if human beings are going to be used as nodes on this geospatial intelligence network, they can be removed just as easily with no impact on the network whatsoever.
Removed. How?
Disconnect them. Erase everything about their data and eliminate the connectivity they have to the global information grid. I mean, look at what they're trying to do now. I mean, there's legislation before Congress to eliminate cash. Okay, everything has to be transacted electronically. So you remove that capability by removing the human node, or I should say you remove the human node by removing that capability, communications capability, earnings capability, everything.
They
People,
simply cease to exist.
as far as the network is concerned, yes. Yes.
I mean, it's like Stalin on steroids, where they would go into a family home and they would destroy the pictures, go down to the courthouse there, get rid of the school records, the photographs, the birth certificates, all of that, the driver's licenses, all gone. It's as though they have been erased from existence.
Exactly.
Only this is even better.
Or worse.
Well, I mean, more effective. That's what I mean by better.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
let me qualify that, please.
People, I mean, their plan, the big plan on this thing is that people will be reduced to the sum total of the data that's been collected on them. So how do you remove who you are? How do you what is who you are? It's the people you know, your family and personal relationships, financial profile, educational background, political, religious, personal interests and associations, travel and transportation habits, and the list goes on. It's everything about your activity. All the information, activity-based information, okay? They've been constructing this neural net for a number of years, and it's being supported and distributed by multinational intelligence collaboration, domestic interagency intelligence collaboration. This is your police, sheriff's department, emergency responders, all that. By the proponents of global governance, one world order, one world government.
This is very sobering. It's one thing if you think it, but when you're confronted with evidence that suggests that it's more than just a thought, that it is.
Oh, these are not my thoughts, John. All of this information I'm presenting I've gone through several hundred pieces of paper in documents, reports, system concepts, system development, software capabilities, the whole 9 yards. This is what they're telling each other this stuff does. Okay? I'm just relaying this to you.
Oh,
your audience.
I understand. I didn't mean I didn't mean to suggest that you were well.
Oh yeah, my quick little nugget, which most people already knew. The CIA created Facebook, and the reason they did was instead of having agents trying to profile people, figure out what they're doing and all that, they create Facebook, social media, and everybody just tells everybody what they're doing. They know who their friends are because it's just one big database. That's all that it was created for, is to make it very easy to know what people's doing, who they contact, and everything. And that way they don't have to compile databases. And I'm sure now, well, anyway, that was just a nugget I felt like throwing in there. I had the urge to throw in there. So you get what I'm saying? So CIA was like, well, if we create Facebook, we got Mark Zuckerberg. If we get him to create Facebook, where everybody talks to everybody, they got their friends, and friends list and all this, and post about their lives, so we can keep up with millions of people at one time, and we can set algorithms to decide when they say certain stuff, or if we need to check into somebody or watch somebody, then we know who their friends are, we know who their friends' friends are, and we know who their friends' friends are, and so forth. And Snowden talked about this too on when he was talking about the NSA.
Yeah, I didn't mean to suggest these were your thoughts. This is your analysis of their thoughts and their creation. I get it.
And the GON system or network, and this is a common, the phrase mastering the human domain also appears hundreds of times throughout these papers for GON. as well as for the Jade 2 software,
Now,
as well as for the Jade Helm 15.
The domain part, that confuses me just a little bit. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I thought the domain is, well, it is domain rather than domicile. So spell it out for us, DJ. What is meant by domain?
All right, the domain is, from the GeoInt standpoint and from the Jade 2 standpoint, it works based off three concepts, okay? Human dynamics, human terrain, and human geography, okay? They're digitizing all of this data on this information. Domestic threat centers, what are they called? Threat assessment centers?
Yeah.
That have popped up in every state in the country now, and that some states have multiple threat assessment centers in them. They're not just here in the U.S., they're global, and they're an integral part of this program from a data collection standpoint. Okay, they will be exploiting the human dynamics of the people of a region or nation-centric population area, which would be your large cities or your large cultural regions, that type of thing. They're going to do this through the use of ABI, which I briefly mentioned before. And what ABI is, it's activity-based intelligence, gathered from where? From open source data. What's open source data? Places like Facebook, LinkedIn, the internet, cloud computing, cloud storage, social networking platforms, cell phones, and the list goes on. Okay? ABI is defined as all aspects of human activity. It's the presence of activities, transactions, both physical and virtual, okay? Cultural, structural organizations, networks, and their interrelationships with each other, motivation, intent, vulnerabilities, and capabilities of humans as single individuals or as groups or in the context of large population-centric areas across all domains of the operational environment: air, land, sea space, and cyberspace. Okay? All collected data, now get this, all collected data is to be geolocated to a specific spot on the earth and then tied to a human node on the network. Remember you asked before, well, how did they unplug you from the network?
Yeah.
That's how. Okay, this process in the realm of GeoInt is known as georeferencing. Okay, the philosophy module in this beast, okay, which is an extension of the AI Foundation, is using two rather ominous or juxtaposition concepts that I really don't understand, but I'm going to throw them out there anyway and try and explain them in case somebody in your audience understands this.
One reason, I was pretty sure that I was hooked up to this Jade system in 2015 in Springfield, Missouri. I might have said this in the first part. There's no way 1 a.m. I just experienced, well, it's not, I didn't experience it 1 a.m. I'd been experiencing it since about 8 o'clock, since I left the last motel. I tried to check in, which they wouldn't check me into, the V2K, the direct energy weapons and all that. So I had due to me not getting on that bus, and people know why and all that, I don't feel like telling the story again, but not right now anyway. Reliving trauma sucks, so I try to avoid it if I can, but when it's necessary, like it's hard telling you this right now, but so I had a backpack with me with matter of fact, I had my water bottle, my crank, that cranks the cell phone, and charges it and all that. And I had a backpack with me with my stuff in it. And I'm in panic because I'm experiencing V2K direct energy weapons. I'm very uncomfortable. I've never experienced this stuff before. I'm freaking out. I freaked out. I was freaking out so bad. I left my backpack in Walmart at 1 a.m. in the front of the store. And they just, I come back an hour later just thinking it was going to be gone because I'm walking like panicking, just trying to think. they're pumping my wife's voice in my head. I'm getting hit with direct energy, feeling weird stuff I've never felt in my body before. So I just left the backpack because I was like, well, if something crazy happens, I need to run. I can't have this backpack on me. So I remember going back to Walmart about 1 a.m. The backpack's still sitting there with all my stuff in it. And I remember that I went, this is why I think that it was like they were hooking me up. Like, I went behind the bank counter in Walmart at 1 in the morning. The bank's closed, everything's closed out front, but I just went there, sat in the corner and covered my head just to try to clear my thoughts. My backpack's next to me. There's a security guard standing right there, and he didn't say nothing. I sat there for about 30 minutes. And this is 1 in the morning. I'm behind the bank counter at the bank in Walmart. They got the little things. Well, I went under that. I was so scared and stuff. I just wanted to feel safe. I don't even know why I done it. I just did it and sat there 30 minutes before I walked out. And while I'm back there, they're talking. I'm gonna remember the conversations that I was hearing, but they were making me hear the stuff of these people talking about, well, I'm going to take him to England. And I heard it, no, I'm going to take him to Kentucky. No, I'm going to take him to. So I'm hearing all this stuff, which I'm pretty sure was more V2K now that I look at it. But anyway, the security guard, cop, whatever this dude was, he let me sit back there 30 minutes. I didn't even ask him if I could. I just walk into Walmart, grab my bag that's been there all night, and go back there and sit. Don't even know why I done it, but I did it. Didn't get told nothing. And why didn't I get told nothing? Because they were testing this technology out on me. If you'd have told me something or made me leave or took me to jail for that, then you couldn't further test this technology. So to me, that was proof. And I remember when I walked out, I got my bag, got up, walked out of Walmart, and they had this girl walking in the middle of these two guys, and she said, she looked at me and she said, hold on, I'm trying to pull this out. Exactly what she said. And she said something to the effect of, it's like the Stasi all over again, ain't it, man? And she said, the death camps are fixing to be here, ain't they? She said, I know what you're going through, man. Just keep your head up the rest of the night. Well, what ended up, what happened after they did all the psyops and stuff, which I'm still trying to remember to tell y'all, is I was met by an officer who stopped me, told my blood pressure, my temperature, searched me, didn't find nothing, all that good stuff. Asked me if I was on drugs. I said, no, sir, not on drugs. Why are you moving left and right? I said, because I'm getting burnt. And when I stop and don't move left and right, because I was swaying like this while he had me there, searching me and all that. And he asked me what was wrong and all that. And I said, well, I'm burning. That's what's wrong. He said, why are you walking in the middle of the road? I said, because I'm burning. And for some reason, when I step in the road, I don't burn. So anyway, so what they did was they hooked me to the system, ran me through a day of nothing but psyops. And people need to listen to the first one to know what I'm talking about. So then at the end of the day, what they do to cover their butt is run me to the mental hospital for 2 weeks. That way, and that's the classic thing, So that means anybody I called or anybody I contacted during what was going on, all that's invalid now because they done sent me to the mental ward. However, there were people that knew about that tactic and saw through that part. But anyway, here we go.
Better and can correct me on this. Those two concepts are data neutrality and sequence neutrality. Okay? Data neutrality means that all data is equally viable in the analytic process of ABI, activity-based intelligence. Let me see if I can explain that. Okay, it's like you have three people and you tell them, you put them up against a house, a building, okay? But they can only stand 1 inch from that building. And one person is an inch from a glass window, another person is an inch from the brick wall, another person's an inch from the molding around the front door. Okay, now what this says to me, this data neutrality, all data is equally viable. Each of those three people are going to describe in their own conceptual context what they're seeing. None of it is correct, okay, in as far as each of them are actually looking at a building, okay, but each person's description is equally valid in as to what they're describing to you. Did I? Okay.
What did you just hear?
What did I just hear?
And be patient, because she's trying to describe this stuff the best as she can from the documents she found and the information she found. And this stuff is pretty complicated, but this is some good information. I'm sorry, hold on.
Yeah, did you just hear something? Because you went, okay, I heard a little noise, and then I heard you go, No, Ghost is shaking his head, okay. No anomalies, all right, fine. I'm imagining things, okay. Carry on.
Okay, now sequence neutrality states that not only is all data viable, as we pointed out with the example of the three people looking at the house or the building from 1 inch away, but no matter how the data is sequenced, okay, it has equal value. And let me try and explain this. For example, take these two sentences. Will you do it, which is an action string or an action sequence of words. Will you do it? And do you will it, which is an intent. Those words are sequenced in a way that it is projecting intent.
Yes.
Now, in this concept that this system is using, both of these data sets have equal value, even though the original phrase was, or may have been, it will do you. Okay? Do you see how I don't know, I see potential just for great logic problems with this.
Yeah, I do too. Because you're saying sequence neutrality, meaning all of the sequences have equal value. Is that correct?
Right, no matter how the data is arranged in it. So we just use an example using words as data in a string or a sequence. All three of those 4 or 5 word sentences, okay, have different values in the meanings and even different actions in the value of those meanings. One being an action and one being an intent. See what I mean? See what I'm saying?
Yes.
Trying very feebly to communicate here.
No, we're getting it. It's a huge concept. Just keep rolling. You're doing great.
Okay. And then they go on to further explain that this is how the system is able to generate answers to questions that haven't been asked.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to say that.
Oh my God. Yeah. They said this. This is right in the papers. I mean, I would say that this is actually generating answers to questions that never existed in the first place. If you take it one step further down the road.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think I think some of these concepts, at least the way I read them and understood them, are very ominous. I mean, this thing. I can see this thing going sideways.
It's like a god. It's like an artificial god mind or something.
Oh my God! You just hit on something that I wasn't going to talk about till the end.
This is what. Okay, we can say it at the end if you want to.
But the ABI, or the Activity-Based Intelligence System, which is the driving force behind the artificial intelligence architecture, breaks the human domain down into 4 main categories. And this, again, John, goes back to bulk data collection. Okay, those 4 categories are the biographical data, that's who you are. Individual activity data, which is what you do. Relational data, which is who you know. family members, personal relationships, organization memberships, religious affiliations, all that kind of stuff. The last and most important, and this one is key, contextual data. Information about the environment in which the entity, or you, or me, the human network node, is found. Excuse me. That would be demographics, political environment, cultural norms, social interactions, tribal customs. It's the glue in the ABI's ability to map the human domain. That's what that contextual data set is. Okay. Do you remember the Obama phone scandal?
Yes.
And that big fat lady, I got my Obama phone, Obama gave me a phone. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
She later went, well, that ain't happening.
Yeah, she later was not very happy with him. I guess she didn't get her car or her house or whatever. But anyway, this was a means, okay, to put the required technology into the hands of people who couldn't afford it, so that they too could be tracked on this global information grid. It doesn't stop there, though. Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, okay, just announced that they're both on a quest to bring the internet, and Zuckerberg with his Facebook and wireless cell phone technology to the people of third world nations. Now, what do you think an African tribe is going to do out there sitting using Facebook? But that's their goal. I mean, they've said they want to do this. This is a quest.
Well, I hope both of those
on this
idiots
mission.
go to sub-Saharan Africa and run into some cannibals and wind up in the pot. That would be excellent. And somebody puts that on Facebook.
Yes, and they put it on Facebook. Okay, but getting back, and none of this stuff, John, I have to tell you, actually clicked at the time I was hearing about this, and until recently, it all just started pulling together. Okay, do you think they're doing this out of compassion or out of the goodness of their heart? No, the plan is to data collect and track every person and every piece of data associated with them on the planet. Or if not everyone, as many of them as they can, and then, screw everybody else, I guess. That's
Pretty
their
much.
attack, pardon me.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the presenters commented flat out, and this is on the GeoInt symposium. This particular symposium I'm referring to was 2 hours long, but he said, and quote, "If you're not collecting all data, you're not going to get a good human terrain," end quote. This is GeoInt.
If
Full
you're not
information.
collecting all the data, you're not
All
going
data.
to get a good human terrain print.
Human terrain.
Oh, just a
I
good
mean-
human terrain. Okay, gotcha.
Right,
I added
right.
the word. Sorry.
A human terrain map or topography or tool. Okay, you're not going to get it. It'll be flawed. And
We have to have all the data, or we might as well have none of the data.
Yes.
Oh dear.
The system is able to decode coded information to find the signal in the noise. Now, this gets into a very interesting area as well. Translation, data encryption is no longer an issue for them. There will be no aspect of privacy on this system.
All right.
Okay.
You know what I think we better do? I think we better pause for 5 minutes. I need to go and let the helium out of my head. I feel like Moses coming down from the mountain. After
Sorry?
being illuminated. I feel like Moses. Those depictions in ancient art of Moses coming down from the mountain, and his head's about 3 times the size it was when he went up there. That's how I feel right now.
I apologize. I tried to simplify this,
No, you're doing
I tried to
beautifully.
shrink it down, because it was so much data. It was so much
That's like getting the Cliff Notes version of the Bible. You can't do it. I'll tell you what. Let's just pause for 5 minutes and resume, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, stretch your legs, get a drink of water, and we'll be back in 5. This is amazing, DJ. Don't make any mistake about that. We're me and the crew are looking at each other like, are you getting this? And we're looking back at each other like, yeah, I think so. I've got, I'm gonna do some head wrapping here. I hope I don't wind up with an elongated skull. But I kind of need to wrap it sort of tightly there. So well, anyway, you just carry on. We'll hang with you.
Okay, another portion of the GeoInt Symposium that I picked up on was the fact that there are emerging new professional fields coming out of this massive technology. They're unrolling. I shouldn't say unrolling. It's already rolled out. I don't think it's all connected up yet. I don't think the proverbial switch has been flipped. But two of those interesting emerging fields were what they call human geographers and human cartographers. And these are just a couple of the new professions that have been identified and staffed already in these, I can't even call it organization, GeoInt. I mean, I think it goes way beyond that. But these positions have already been staffed, and their role is to develop a tapestry, so to speak, of all aspects of human behavior, human emotion, and reactions. Okay.
And reactions.
A common tagline or a theme throughout the GeoInt Symposium, the 2-hour symposium, the papers that are available online and that's this, and I find this very troubling, okay, is that there are currently too many people involved at the geopolitical level, and what they're specifically referencing is government and military decision-making authorities to determine who is actually in charge. Right? This is a problem for them. So they intend to eliminate this uncertainty by placing an AI-based network-centric global system in charge.
Sounds like Skynet out of Terminator, doesn't it?
Yeah, or the Borg out of Star Trek or
yes,
something.
or both.
Combination.
A combo, yeah.
The fact that the system can and will be used to kill people was also addressed in the symposium. And this was emphasized in a statement by one presenter stating, quote, "That's the price you pay for the advancement of this technology, and we're willing to make those sacrifices," end quote.
What exactly does that mean?
It means that they know that the system, in its testing phases this is what I think it means. They know that the system, due to its advanced technological capabilities that it can perform, is going to make occasional mistakes. I don't know, programming errors, whatever. And it's going to kill people accidentally. But, we're willing to pay that price until we get this right. That's what I think they're saying.
That's kind of what it sounded like, yeah.
Okay.
In my opinion, a lot of TIs are being used to test the system out on, and have been used. But at the point we're at now, I mean, this is some years old talking about the system, but at the point we're at now, I'm pretty sure everybody's hooked up in one way or the other.
This is just hairy. It can depict crisis resolution and pre-crisis action, just like the Jade 2 system and the Jade Helm 15 exercise can do. The segment that was presented by Doug Weinstein, remember him? He was the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense Intelligence. He stated that there is a growing need for more data collection to better define the human dimension or human terrain. Okay, the latest, I think, the latest mainstream media and political hype, that we're hearing regarding the NSA's spying's it's being removed from the Patriot Act. That's a smokescreen. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay. Actually, it's an outright lie. The network architecture's already in place, and the data dumps are being done automatically now by this grid. Okay? Computer systems don't abide by legislation. They didn't spend billions of dollars on this technology only to pass a law demanding we shut it down. NSA data collection's not going away, it's being taken over by the geospatial intelligence network and everything plugged into it. Boy. Okay, GeoInt's main objective, and I know I've said this before, and at the risk of repeating myself, it's to achieve centralized command and control over humanity. Every human will become a node and a sensor on the GOG from a network-centric standpoint, and from a material or a physical standpoint, they'll become a human inventory item in the system. The system's also been collecting biometric data on everyone. Okay, this is required so that every human sensor or node on the network will have its own unique Bio API, or Biological Application Program Interface. And this is how they'll circumvent the RFID or microchipping that we talked about earlier. Okay, the system, it'll develop and execute directives based on its interpretation of political will. What's that? It will develop and execute directives, its own directives, based on its interpretation of political will. They're not referencing the political will of nation states. There won't be any. They're talking about the political will of one global centralized government.
You bet. That's exactly what this is.
Okay? And again, at the risk of sounding redundant, predictive software or AI is at the core of this GeoInt system, just like in the Jade 2 software system that I had done a report on a while ago. Same technology, bigger scope. Okay, the system's able to change natural outcomes of human activity by predicting human behavior and reacting to it before it occurs. Think about that for a minute. Predict human behavior and react to it before it occurs.
Good Lord.
Now, they're serious about this. They have two technologies on the books, and both of these technologies are significant, and they're interconnected to several other policies, executive orders, programs, military systems, this GeoInt system, in a couple of different ways. They're called edge and illicit. Okay, I can explain them to you, but they're kind of boring. They're key components for this prediction and reaction. And they're referenced not only in the Jade 2 final report, but also in the 1033 program, and they are also referenced in Executive Order 13684, which is 21st Century Policing of America and Intelligent-Led Policing 2. This is key technology. What EDGE is, or what it does, I'm going to try and condense down dozens and dozens of pages. It formulates that fine line in the human nodes on the network, okay? Those fine boundaries of the node that's you that connects you to somebody else, to somebody else, to somebody else, to somebody else. Okay? That's basically what the edge technology does. Now, illicit is a little different. It's a think tank collaboration. It is for information sharing and trust between law enforcement, community organizers, emergency responders, and things of that sort. You know, your domestic peacekeeping tools.
Yeah.
The illicit platform is the main theme in the 1033 program and in Executive Order 13684, which is Obama's vision for America, also known as 21st century policing. All right? This concept, this think tank-based initiative is a paramount to the Stasi in Nazi Germany, with an added dose of network-centric technology and military-grade equipment being thrown into the mix just for fun. And they're referenced in those orders and those policing programs.
Unbelievable.
There was an entire segment of this symposium that focused on the harvesting of all commercial data. What? So I had to read on that more and dig more into this. I mean, it started raising the question, you know, I wonder why no one's been allowed to read the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement.
Yeah.
And then they tried to fast track it through Congress with nobody even reading it. I mean, since that didn't go as planned, they've now repackaged it and they're trying to fast track it through under the title of the TPA. I think these things tie in definitely.
Oh, absolutely, they do. And in fact, there was a report about one of the main shills for this, a woman who was trying to get you know, some of the other people in Congress to go along with it, admitted that she had not read it at all. I'll tell you.
Amazing. The one thing these people are paid to do up there, they're falling on their face on. I mean, it's the one thing they're supposed to do, pass legislation. And they're not even reading it.
You know, it's a matter of some speculation as to who exactly is holding what size gun to these people's heads, because, you know, the Senate got overturned, and the Republicans are in control, and they're not doing anything differently than anybody else, with a couple of exceptions. At least Rand Paul has said, you need to make the text public. So we'll see how far he gets with that. And it appears that, you know, there's some setbacks in the Obamacare thing and some other things, but good grief, I mean, largely they're just useless. I mean,
And I also read somewhere where the phones that everybody got that were free, we're mapping people's minds, and harvesting data from them. Nothing's free, and I knew when they said everybody gets free phones, there was a catch to it. They were collecting neural signatures and data from everybody that got them phones, and I was one of them at one point.
you don't have to have an IQ over about 62 to figure out that these people aren't making any decisions on their own.
No.
They're being manipulated by somebody else because...
Matter of fact, I think, I'm not mistaken, I think I had one during Jade Helm, and what happened was I would have the phone in my ear like this, and you could, what they would do every now and then, they would go like right in my ear like they were in the speaker. So yeah, real crazy stuff.
Because they bumble too much. There's nothing smooth about their presentation or their, they go out with a bold statement and they have to retract it, and they're just kind of like, they're standing there just blithering. It doesn't even make, their explanations make no sense. And that only happens, in my experience, when you don't really know how deep the waters are that you're swimming in, but you've just been given a signal that you need to change course and also change depth a little bit, but you have no idea how deep it is really, and you don't know who's giving the orders. You just know that you better take them. That's how they react, in my view.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty obvious to most people now that most of these people up there are not under their own control. I mean, they're getting their marching orders and their directives and their agendas from someplace else.
Well, it
And
says
it's not the American people.
no, it's not. It says right here. This is a fresh headline. It's going right across the Drudge Report. The Republicans rush vote on Obama trade before anyone reads it. Well, there you go. The Republicans.
I mean, how many times do we have to be lied to about so many different things before we just stand up and say, enough, we're not taking this anymore.
I'm just wondering what the future of a revolution is. But anyway, we'll talk about that later, maybe. If we
It
feel
doesn't
like
look very bright
No, it
in the
doesn't.
context of this.
No, not at all. It's like, oh, no, you can't do any of those things. What do you mean we can't dissent? No. We can't revolt? No. We can't protest? No. Okay, what do we do? Conform at once, or we'll delete you. Node.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Okay, carry on, my dear.
Okay. Well, we talked about, massive data collection to ad nauseum in this report here, but they're not only collecting data using the methods we already know about in order to populate these huge data dump facilities like the one in Bluffdale. They're now also employing technology called dirt boxes. Have you heard of those?
Which boxes?
Dirt
Boxes.
Dirt
Yeah,
boxes.
I did see the term pop up, but I went past it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this technology is installed on private planes, and in a single sweep, they can pull information from tens of thousands of cell phones. I'm not just talking about your phone number and where your phone is on the GPS coordinates. I'm talking about all the data stored on your phone. Your mobile banking information, Facebook, social media networking files, passwords to secure applications, the applications on your phone, sites you may have stored on there, in addition to all the other stuff we know they're collecting on us. So now they've got this dirt box technology, and it's a piece of hardware that they're using private planes, flying over neighborhoods, up and down roads, mostly in populated areas, because the more concentrated the technology is in a particular area, the more they're going to scoop up on a sweep with these dirt boxes. And then that information is all going into the data dump as well. So mastering the human domain, okay, and this is, again, we're in the context of GeoInt now, okay, represents a shift in focus from nation states to individuals. GeoInt will put a clamp down on individuals, groups, or population-centric areas before an event, demonstration, or rebellion, just like you mentioned, can occur.
I'm going to stop it right there. But just remember what she said, dirt boxes. They can fly a plane over Atlanta, Alabama, Birmingham, Mobile, Nashville. They can fly anywhere, actually. And these dirt boxes will pick up every bit of data on every phone in the whole city. And anyway, this technology is real. Thanks for staying with me for another episode. Looks like we're going to have to do a part 3 because this is very detailed and stuff, and I'm trying to do my best. But I want to leave you with this. Don't never, if you're a targeted individual, or if you're, and I'm not using targeted individual much longer, I'm trying to think of, if you're a targeted citizen, and if anybody's got a better term that even gets away from targeted. And the reason I say that is, there's a thing called don't act out in violence that's my advice today, and I'm gonna be saying this on the next show, probably every show, because the Institute for Strategic Dialogue is dedicated to safeguarding democracy and human rights by reversing the rising global tide of polarization, extremism, and authoritarianism. The Institute throws dirt on TIs by claiming TIs are extremists and possibly killers. I wonder who's really behind them. Well, some of their donors are globalists, but I say that to say this. This website, and if you'd like to ask me in the comments if you'd like the link to this website, but the website is actually it has like 7 or 8 instances of when a TI went on a mass pew pew spree, and so basically saying all the TIs are like that, and we're dangerous, but that's not true. And I would encourage all my viewers who are TIs, real TIs, never act out in violence, never destroy anybody's property. If somebody's physically harming you, I'm not saying just stand there and let them beat you. No, not at all. You got to defend yourself. However, make it a point not to act out in violence. Because these people, and like I said, if you'd like the website to read it for yourself, I will share it. Just ask me in the comments. But this institute, ISD Global Institute for Strategic Dialogue is totally wrong about TIs. TIs are good people. A lot of them are good people. And so don't listen to V2K. Don't listen to Urge. Don't listen to nothing. Don't go act out in violence. That's not the answer. Never was the answer. Never did any good. It just made their smear campaigns and stuff look even more true. And I know I sound like a broken record and said this yesterday, but hey, this is very important. If you really think about it, you got a website going out here and painting us as dangerous. But anybody who watches my show knows I've never promoted violence, and I won't promote violence. I don't think it's the answer. Matter of fact, I know it's not the answer. You're not going to get nowhere. And my belief is the only answer is to learn how to cope with this the best you can. Garlic, detox, keeping metals out of your body, spirituality, prayer. And people say prayer don't work, but I know supernaturally. And if you listen to the interview yesterday with this guy, I listed some supernatural things that happened to me. I know God, the Most High is real. But just figuring out techniques and stuff to make it through the day and cope. And I know it's easier said than done, but and I'm gonna address one more thing, and I'm gonna shut up because I'm just doing nothing but rambling, and I hate when I ramble. I think that's a bad quality about me. However, and I'm working on it. But what I'm saying is, and about vetting process. Don't forget, if you have any ideas about the vetting process that you could help me come up with to sort of vet people who want to come on the show. I do believe in giving everybody a chance to tell their story. And but after all the feedback yesterday, I have to listen to my viewers and stuff, and and just it's common sense that if I interview somebody, I don't. If I interview somebody, it's not go ahead to go conversate with these people, trust these people. No, you use the same discernment as if you hadn't seen the interview and you're trying to discern for yourself who they are. Because you got some slick people out there, and I'm not saying the dude yesterday was slick at all. I'm because really I do. My assessment was of him was that he was genuine. However, other people's assessments was different. So, and then I get these assessments, and then I see comments and people talking back and forth in comments, and I'm thinking, well, what if this dude is happens to be a perp, which at the moment I don't think he is, but I don't know for sure, and I can't vouch for him. But I got to thinking, this whole thing played in my head. What if somebody comes on my show, acts like they're all goody-goody, and hurts one of my people through the comments, not meets them, or cons them out of money or does something like that, and then it makes me look bad. So my vetting process is definitely going to be more precise, and that's why I'm looking for ideas about this, and what I need to do about this. Now I have an idea what I need to do about this, and I'm thinking about it, and just know that I'm working on it. But after yesterday and the feedback I got back in emails, I feel the need to tell y'all, look, just because I interview somebody don't mean you can trust them with your phone number, you can trust them with your email, you can trust them to come live with you. None of that. You need to use discernment wisely, because it's impossible. It's impossible to not have a perp get through every now and then. And I'm not saying the guy yesterday was a perp at all, because personally I don't think he was, but other people seem to have questions, and that's okay. That's their opinion. I don't know enough about the person to say whether or not that person is a perp or not. So I'm not going to sit here and down the man. I gave the man a chance. That's all I could do. And if anybody ever come, so anybody I've interviewed in previous settings, if you have evidence that that person's done you wrong or that person's not who they say they are, by all means, share it. It needs to be known, because I'm responsible for my viewers and what happens with my viewers off of what they hear from my channel or stuff like that. So I'm just telling you, anybody I interview, don't go right to messaging them. And if you do go to messaging them, just use discernment, set up, instead of using your real phone number, set up a text now number and talk to them for a minute and fill them out. So anyway, common sense will tell any TI that. I'm just going to stop rambling and get off here. Thank you for your patience, and I hope this video helps some people. And man, I'm just lost for words right now because I have a lot of stuff on my mind, got a lot of stuff to do today. And so I'm sorry for my rambling. The Most High bless all TIs, satanic ritual abuse survivors, MK Ultra survivors. Like I said, if you've got ideas about, a different name than target individuals, because that's very, very looked down on. And it's really targeted citizen. I don't even know if that'd be proper. So anyway, I'm rambling again. I'm going to shut up. Y'all have a good weekend, good 4th of July, the best you can as a TI. Try to make the best of it. Try to do something positive for yourself. Try to speak positivity in your life. Try to keep your vibrations high. Do not react to the stuff they want you to react to. And that's all.